A Fox cares about health.
My health. So do you have those people that they teeter tottered, but this is the first time in my older years that I'm actually finally losing weight and feeling good because everything is in moderation.
Yes, I think that is so wonderful. I love your mindset on this. And I do. Well, here's what's happening for a lot of women that come to
Okay.
me through the online world and some in the office. They are also going through perimenopause and menopause. So this is a time where their bodies are changing uncontrollably. So
Okay.
what we talk about is what can I control right now? And like you said, the scariness of as we get older, the possibility of our immune system being so low. Our
Yeah.
gut our gut health is so connected to also our mental health. So that is another thing we talk about is anxiety and depression, because when you go through all these changes, whether it's being sick or COVID or whatever your life circumstances are, our mind is affected. And then we're throwing sugar and processed food on top of that
Yeah.
garden it's not helping us. So what I share with women is, yes, now is the time where we have to become more mindful. And I love your word moderation. I think everybody on this planet has their own personal balance.
Yeah.
Balance is a very weird word that's been overused quite a bit. But I think if you think of it as your balance, and it's always a journey, there's no destination, because my
Yes.
balance 10 years ago is not the same as my balance now. In the
Yes.
same way, I can't process alcohol, bread, and sugar and just, show up and everything's fine and my skin doesn't look bad and all of those things. It's just not going to happen.
Yes.
So, but what I would love to share is when we talk about those things, because we're older and wiser, we now can have the conversation that you just had. You're amazing. You're having this conversation with your food, saying, I'm going to give myself permission. I can have this piece of bread, but here are the rules. I'm going to eat it slowly. I'm going to
Yes.
enjoy it. I'm going to have every bite. And then that way, I'm not going to have 4 pieces. I'm going to have 1 piece. And
Yes.
ironically, I sent out an email this morning about the Carrabba's bread, a Carrabba's with the oil, and it
Oh,
comes
yes.
piping hot. And I literally just talked about that because I could not take my hands off the bread.
Tune into the Angela Foxworth Show.
Hello, it is me, A Fox of the Angela Foxworth Show, right here, a part of Lumen Media. I am so excited today because listen, I always, showcase people who I feel like make an extraordinary difference in this world. And my guest today, she is definitely one of those people. Now, the Angela Foxworth Show was created to educate, to motivate, and to inspire. And today is no different. So I would like to introduce, because today is going to be all about wellness in every sense of the word. I am so excited to have Kim Hynes with me today. Hello, Miss Kimberly.
Hello, Angela. I'm so happy to be with you today.
Thank you. I am so glad to have you. And listen, I absolutely am obsessed with wellness. And the reason is because just honestly, it just makes you feel good to be healthy in every sense of the word. So, first, I want you to tell everybody what it is you do and what specifically is your emphasis for your business.
Yes, thank you so much. My technical title is nutritional health coach, and I love helping anyone who's interested in changing their health, but really specifically, how do they change their habits so that they still feel positive and wonderful and love themselves through that transformation. I do work with men, but my heart is really with women.
Wow.
I think we really struggle with body image. We struggle with comparing ourselves to others and our younger selves. And I think we also put so much restriction on ourselves and so much pressure. Women who are so busy and have very high expectations of themselves sometimes have a hard time getting healthy because they put everyone else first and everything else before themselves. And that's what I love to help people with, is to really open their eyes to small, easy ways to take care of themselves and to love themselves through that process.
Oh, I absolutely love it. Listen, this is so loaded. I don't even know where to start. But, you know, number one, I am so shocked to know that you mostly help men. I did not know that. And so let me ask you the very first question. What are the differences between men and women, especially in our mentality?
Yes. And I'll clarify that too. I have an office that I own with 2 therapists, and that
Okay.
is where I have more men coming
Men,
in.
okay, more men,
Yeah,
but you do
my
everybody.
online presence where everyone can get to me is mostly
Okay.
women, but there are
Okay.
huge differences. I think that women, naturally, we're very nurturing souls. And we, again, take care of everyone before we take care of ourselves. We often forget that we can even be on a priority list. And sometimes when we get unhealthy, I think women are more honest about it though. They know where things are coming from. They know they're more likely to go to the doctor and get hormones and thyroid checked. They're more likely to say, I'm a stress eater or I eat emotionally. Men, it takes a while to crack into that a little bit. Some of them don't want to go to the doctor. Some of them think they can be just like the college athlete again and I'm just going to go lift weights and it's all going to be fine. And but I find that both are really easily to educate on food and habits. Men are just a little bit more, if they're going to do it, they're going to do it. And
Right.
women, we have to kind of work our way in, convinced that it's okay
Yeah.
and not selfish to take care
Yeah.
of ourselves. So those are some of the reasons that
I
I like the
love
difference
that.
between them.
Yes, I love that. And you definitely often wonder because especially with couples, you know. So like I'm plus size in my family, but the funny thing is I'm the only plus size. Everybody else is small from my son to my husband. So I used to tease years ago when I was at my largest weight. I used to say, yeah, me and my husband, we're a perfect 10. And they'd be like, oh, that is so sweet. You guys think you're perfect. I'm like, no, he's small and he's a 1. I'm the 0. I'm like, so we're the perfect 10.
That is funny. Yes. And I work with couples, and it's funny because I work with couples who have that exact situation. And I have it too. My husband is very, very lean and can eat and do things that I probably shouldn't be doing. But that's another thing with couples is it's so
Yeah.
wonderful to work with them because everybody can benefit because there's longevity involved, there's health involved so they can enjoy each other. And just the relationship and communication and touching and all of that, when
Yeah.
everyone feels good, it
Yeah.
all clicks and comes together.
Well, it does because you know the funny thing is I'm the first plus size woman he's ever even dated, and then I'm the one he married. Okay, that just tells you some things. However, you know, as I've been on my journey through our whole relationship, we'll be celebrating 25 years in May
Yeah.
together. Yes, like a total of 26 and a half total, you know. But in that, he has always truly just supported what it is I want to do. Like it's never been an issue, but I will tell you, as we've gotten older, where I have taken it more serious, you know, because COVID, I think, really scared me. And the reason I say that is because I've always flim-flammed, and because the reality for me is I am a Black Southern woman that loves to cook. I am a true foodie. So trying to find that what I call that, you know, that fine line between loving and enjoying what you eat, but also being healthy. I am not the good thing is I'm not a portion person. So portion control is very good for me. Even in my everyday eating, I get those little saucer plates. I don't do no washing dishes. My fine china been fine china in the cabinet for years. I buy paper plates and paper cups, and so I can just dispose. We have such a, you know, fast lifestyle. But I love my veggies. I'm a veggie holic. So eating the right things is not the hugest problem, other than two things that are detrimental to me. And honestly, they're triggers for me, and that is bread. And I'm talking about all the wrong bread. Okay. We ain't talking about no, you know, healthy, 100% whole wheat. I hate that. So I'm talking about sourdough. I'm saying white bread, you know, the stuff that's bad. And then the second thing is I am addicted to sugar. So I literally, you know, those triggers, if I do it, I have to know in my head that it's in moderation. I kind of have to do this whole, like ritualistic thing, like, Angela, this is it. You're going to eat this one little piece, because I used to have dessert with everything. But when COVID happened, though, and I realized that having a sugar addiction actually also lowers your immune system. So anything that I was trying to do to combat, if I'm having dessert for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, it just wasn't going to happen. And so I never, when I got sick with COVID in December of last year, but before then, I've never had COVID, but I would be around, and some days, how you would feel like maybe something's wrong and your throat's hurting and this and that. And it would always come back negative, but just the fact that I felt that way, it scared me. So I was like, you know what? It is time to get real serious about, my health. So do you have those people that they teeter-tottered, but this is the first time in my older years that I'm actually finally losing weight and feeling good because everything is in moderation?
Yes, I think that is so wonderful. I love your mindset on this. And I do. Well, here's what's happening for a lot of women that come to me through the online world and some in the office. They are also going through perimenopause and menopause. So this is a time where their bodies are changing uncontrollably. So what we talk about is, what can I control right now? And like you said, the scariness of, as we get older, the possibility of our immune system being so low.
Yeah.
Our gut health is so connected to also our mental health. So that is another thing we talk about, is anxiety and depression, because when you go through all these changes, whether it's being sick or COVID or whatever your life circumstances are, our mind is affected. And then we're throwing sugar and processed food on top of that garden. It's not helping us. So what I share with women is, yes, now is the time where we have to become more mindful. And I love your word moderation. I think everybody on this planet has their own personal balance. Balance is a very weird word that's been overused quite a bit. But I think if you think of it as your balance, and it's always a journey, there's no destination, because my balance 10 years ago is not the same as my balance now. In this way, I can't process alcohol, bread, and sugar and just, show up and everything's fine and my skin doesn't look bad and, all of those things. It's just not going to happen. So, but what I would love to share is, when we talk about those things, because we're older and wiser, we now can have the conversation that you just had. You're amazing. You're having this conversation with your food, saying, I'm going to give myself permission. I can have this piece of bread, but here are the rules. I'm going to eat it slowly. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to have every bite. And then that way, I'm not going to have 4 pieces. I'm going to have 1 piece. And ironically, I sent out an email this morning about the Carrabba's bread, a Carrabba's with the oil, and it comes piping hot. And I literally just talked about that, because I could not keep my hands off the bread because I couldn't slow it down, or the chips and salsa at the Mexican restaurant. We have to slow it down, enjoy it, and love it. Having dessert, like you said, every day is a little much. And it's not even a novelty anymore. It's just a habit. So when you have it once a week, twice a week, it's like, oh, I can enjoy this, but I'm going to slow it down and love it.
Yes. And what I have found, and I don't know, you can tell me if this is common as well. What I have found is I don't even enjoy food now as much as I used to. I remember years ago when I was really trying to hit it hard, because like I said, I've probably been on every diet plan known to man, both, in the stores, outside the stores. I've probably been a part of every Herbalife, you name it, I'd have been a part of it. Okay. And so I definitely feel like I have a huge education on it. But what I have realized, honestly, if your mindset is not correct, then at the end of the day, it's not going to matter, because, like I have a lot of friends around me who've all gotten this gastro bypass, and, everybody's been telling me, oh, why didn't you get it? Blah, blah, blah. My mom, she was a small woman her whole life. So she always made me feel like, oh my God, I'm so huge. Because even when I was just a size 7, my mother was a size 5. So to her, 7 was huge. You know what I mean? So I've never even really had a self-image of myself. I've always saw myself as plus size. Even when I was an athlete, I was bound I ran track. I was actually, at one point, they thought I could be an Olympian if I had gotten like a breast reduction done at a very early age. And my mom was just terrified about that. But I was captain of the volleyball team. I was a varsity cheerleader. But again, I always thought I was big. No matter what, my image of myself was big. And in my mind, I just thought, when I got to my highest weight, which was after the birth of my son, I went from a size 9, because when I got to college, I went to an all Black college, and they were like, "Oh my God, you are so little." They would tell, my friends, like, "Oh my God, your little friend is cute, but she need to gain some weight." Well, that was right up my alley, because the first, year of college, I did gain, and I went from 7 to 9, and then from 9, literally after I had my son, 18. And so what I have learned, though, like in these days and age, I don't know, like the food doesn't taste the same to me. I like enjoy eating light and little, and you know what I mean? And like not feeling weighted down. It's almost like now, I don't know if it's just because we become aware and we're realizing, like I can even tell for myself, organic and non-organic. Like I never paid that any attention. Have you had a non-organic banana? They suck. Like they're not even good. You know what I mean? And I was like, oh my God, all of this time I've been eating all this fake stuff. I can't do tilapia anymore. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like it's just crazy how we have inundated ourselves with. I think sometimes we've actually kind of conned ourselves into thinking that things are more delicious than they really are. It's actually good for the natural way of eating. I find myself enjoying that so much more now.
Yes.
Do you hear that from people?
I do. And there are 2 things that you said that were just really powerful. And I definitely will talk about the food, but your body image came from a very young age. And I want to remind women who hear this, and men too, that when you hear something as a child, and I was just like you, I went to college and I blew up after college, and someone close to me that I wanted their approval from made a comment about it. And I have lived with that comment, and I teach people that is not your voice. That is not your voice. That is somebody else's. You are who you are. All bodies are good bodies. So I just want to say that first. But yes. And then the food, here's an interesting thing. When we are stressed out or we are not paying attention, we have an emotional hunger and a real hunger. Real hunger comes from our stomach. It comes from inside our bodies. We're really feeling it. The emotional hunger will never be satisfied. And we really don't taste our food when we're emotionally eating, because it's just going in. We're trying to fill a need, a hole that will never get filled. But the other part of it is, think about these companies. We have food scientists that are literally working day after day after day to create the most palatable, crazy foods with the craziest ingredients that are so not good for us, to make that flavor. They're adding more and more sugar to everything. I turned a bag of potato chips around. Yes, health coach. I have potato chips in my cupboard. I have a 17-year-old. The last one of 4 is leaving, and all the little Debbies and chips are going with him. So but I turned the bag of chips around. Believe it or not, there was maltodextrin, which is another substitute for sugar, in those chips. Now, why would we need to put sugar in chips that just need oil and salt? Well, the reason why is it's addicting, and people eat more and more and more and more. So our taste buds get very used to that, and they almost get dulled. So when people go back to eating real food, they clean their gut out. Our gut craves what we feed it too. So if you're eating, sugar, donuts, crackers, chips, Doritos, our gut is going to ask for that. So then when we clean it out, our taste buds are clear again. And our taste buds can really taste that real simple food. And like you said, we start wanting simple food. We don't want all the sauces and all the spices. Like I love spices, but I don't overdo it like I used to. I used to
Yes.
put salt on everything. I used to,
Yes.
I can't even imagine now. If anybody eats Doritos, have fun, enjoy, just slow
Uh,
down. But I can't even imagine eating those now
yeah.
because it's just so much. It's almost too much.
You know what it is, because it's so funny that you say that. I had we were in the mood for craving a slaw dog. My husband's been saying it for the longest. Oh man, I want some good old slaw. So when we just he had to go to um a training, and I was able to go with him. But we were gonna be staying at a hotel. We were a little bit out of town. So it was really, we were making it a little vacation. And so I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go get these knickknacks from Publix. Well, the funny thing is, we didn't even eat them that much. But when I made the slaw dog, right, I had bought some sweet southern sweet heat chips from Lay's. And I had, that's not a staple in my house. Like literally, I pretty much try to purchase the same stuff over and over again unless I have a craving. Then that's something that I'll make. But usually my cravings, honestly, I'll bake them or I'll cook them. I still try to keep them whole foods, because I always was told if they're in the wrapper and I can't explain what that little Debbie cream is, then I don't need to be eating it. Okay. So we get to, I'm pulling out the chips, and oh my God, they did taste like super salty to me. And then they had these weird little spices. But the funny thing is, it was like, if I'm not mistaken, potatoes wasn't even the first ingredient. And they tell you that on the bags of stuff when you're reading it, that first ingredient is going to be the most. And of course, it had sugar. But that is what has really like over the years, this epidemic we now have for diabetes and different things like that. It is because sugar is in pretty much everything packaged. Like if you go to anything processed, it is going to have a level of sodium and sugar in it. And then I love what you said too. They use these real fancy terms, because let me tell you what's funny. I go to I've been to a natural smoothie place. We have a place called Paradise Smoothie, right? It's locally owned. It's not one of the franchise or anything. Then we have, Smoothie King. So one day I just happened to ask, because I love this banana they have a meal replacement, and I get it, it's bananas only or whatever, but it literally tastes like a banana shake. You want to know why? Because it is. Because I was like, let me ask you a question. What is turbinado?
Yes.
That's just raw sugar. Okay, so why you don't call it raw sugar? Where we get turbinado from and all these crazy names?
Yes, there are actually 98 names for sugar. And if anything ends in OSE, dextrose, maltodextrose, for sure sucrose, for sure high fructose corn syrup. And it's funny you said that, because my daughter worked at Tropical Smoothie and she wanted to make me a shake. And she goes, Mom, make sure I make it, because I know you don't want that in there. And I didn't know what turbinado was either. It wasn't on my list.
Exactly. And that's how they get you, though, like through the advertisement. And again, even when you don't realize that it doesn't say, non-GMO. Honestly, that's important. It really, really is, because again, now that I have had an organic banana, I used to be like, oh my God, they're just trying to, make you spend more money because, your organics are going to be a little bit more. But to be honest, it's worth that extra 20 cents, because that's all it is for the organic banana or the real apples or real peaches, because there is a difference. Like you can taste the difference. And then you have to ask yourself, what is in it, and is that healthy for you? Because that is why people, number one, death right now for women is heart disease. No, and no one talks about that, and a lot of the stress that you put on your heart is what you're eating. Do you know what I'm saying? And people they're not educated. So a lot of times they feel like this lady was like, oh yeah, I'm on this great eating plan. And when I looked in her basket, it was all of this processed stuff. But of course it said light and right and this and that. And she doesn't realize that stuff is really countering what she needs to do.
Yes, and I agree, because when I really look at what those things can do to our gut, the preservatives, the pesticides, the chemicals, when you damage your gut lining, there's such a huge chance for things like leaky gut. And when those particles get into your system, that's when we have a lot of inflammation. We have a lot of chronic disease. And I actually have clients who will show me their blood work and they won't reduce their animal products. And this is not a fight for vegan, vegetarian, or animal products, but they will have really well sourced grass-fed beef and they'll have organic chicken, but their cholesterol will go up and down based on the amount of sugar and processed food they have. So, and alcohol. So it's a little bit of everything. So we can always cut back if we're concerned about the animal products, but really cutting back on the processed food and sugar. And here's a little crazy tidbit. Coffee and wine are the highest sprayed crops. And we know like soy and peanuts and all those things are too, but coffee, which most people drink in the morning, a lot of people drink wine at night. Yeah, go organic. And then you will be getting away from that. Also, there's a mold that is in our coffee. So go organic, and that will help a lot because we're just pretty much streamlining that caffeine into us, but we're also getting the pesticides.
I know you have to absolutely love what you do because, you know, in a sense, you're like our superhero saving our life. You know what I mean? So like, take me through what, like, if I needed you, what would I be coming to you for?
Yes, I'll tell you all about that. And just so you know, too, the reason why I love my job is I have been through ups and downs with my weight. I've been through the body image. I have struggled through eating issues. I have struggled through binge eating. So I have been where many, many of my clients are. And so if somebody comes to work with me, we do a free 30-minute consultation. We just want to make sure it's a fit. And we want to make sure that they're a fit for me, but I'm also qualified to be able to help make that transformation with them. And that somebody is ready, because really we know, because we've been through it in our own lives, if you're not ready, you're not ready. And so we just keep going up and down with it. And that's where the dieting happens. So I really focus on making sure that everyone knows that I don't do dieting, meal plan, traditional type of work with people. A lot of it's up here, as you said before. And I do give health tips all the time. And we work with morning routine, evening routine. So somebody comes and they work with me, they get a choice of different plans. I have a 3-month and a 6-month plan if we do 1-to-1. And they can see me, again, different plans. If they're really desperate to get going, we see each other every week. If we can stretch it out over 2 weeks, then we stretch it out over 2 weeks. I'm in a really good position right now where I also have the ability to communicate with them in between. We do text messaging. Just to make sure there's accountability. There might be questions. They're snapping pictures of products in the store. Sometimes they're having a rough day and my clients just need someone to say, it's okay. You're doing great. Just remember, these are the good things you've done. We all forget all the things that we do that are actually moving in the right direction. Because if you're not moving fast enough, then we start to give up. I also have a group program, but that's only for women. Men can work with me 1-to-1, but the group that I run is an 8-week program. It's what I do with my clients, but I've put it into an 8-week program for people who want to have support with each other within this 8-week group. And then coming soon is also going to be a support group for people who've been through the program or just want to check in twice a month and have other women to talk about everything with.
Oh, I love that, because you know what? A lot of people are so excited and need to hear that someone has been through what they've been through. I think that's one of the biggest hurdles that people have to face, because they would look at you and say, well, Miss Kim, you're healthy. You know, like you wouldn't understand what somebody over 100 pounds over their weight feels like, or whatever the case may be. And I can tell you this, what I do love about the encouragement that you give on a daily basis, one of the things that you allow us to do, which is so critical, is just loving where we're at, even in the transition. Because like I was telling you, I have lots of people, friends around me, who've gotten gastro. I've gotten both sides of the fence with that. There are some of those friends that have said, you know, I am glad to be small, but you know, I don't know. I just don't enjoy life like I used to, even though, because I thought that well, once you got small, like, what do you complain about? Like, a lot of people would love to be where you're at. For me personally, again, I've even seen the reverse where I've had people that have had that surgery, and you would think something major like that, they would stay small. No, ma'am. Some people have gained that weight back after a couple of years. Then I've had the other side where they literally wish they had never done it. They said that if they had just disciplined themselves, it was so much easier just to discipline themselves. And I told them, well, if you felt that way, then you never would have gotten the surgery. So just embrace where you are now, because at least you have lost it. But for me personally, it is my mind. And I just don't want to, I don't think it's an easy route out. I definitely don't feel that way because they go through a lot. I just don't want to be, when I'm ready to eat something I want to eat, I want to be able to eat it. So my discipline has to just come with discipline. And you just have to make sure, again, that that you're making sure, again, that you have your own balance. I know what triggers me. And one of the biggest things for me is, like, I'll tell you, this last go round, man, I was full speed ahead, right? And I'm like, oh my God, I'm feeling so good. And what I do, I publicly embarrass myself. And what I mean by that, I tell my whole audience when I'm doing something, because they keep me accountable. I don't mind the emails that say, where are you at, Miss Lane? You were supposed to have lost 15 pounds and you look like you'd have gained 30. So I do that though, because it does keep me, like if I've told someone that I want to be a person of my word, it makes me stick to my plan. But one of the things that I feel like, for me in this journey that I've had, I literally had to learn to accept where I'm at, and then enjoy my process as I'm going through it. And when I fall, get up, because I was hitting it hard. And then I got in a car accident. And so in that car accident, literally today was my last day of physical therapy.
Wow.
Exactly. And the thing is, I was on this walking journey. And so what happens in my mindset, that's it. When I got in the accident, I'm like, oh, no.
Yep.
I'm
Give
having
it
a
up.
piece of chicken.
Give it up.
Right. I'm like, I'm just having a piece of chicken. I'm not going to be able to exercise for 5 months. Then I'm going to eat. So I started picking up the weight again when I was feeling great. And I told my husband one day, I said, why is it that when we do the right thing, we actually feel great? Yeah. So why don't we stay consistent? You know what I mean? Like, it makes you feel better. So why wouldn't I want to keep doing that? Do you have an answer for that?
Yes. Well, it's interesting because consistency is really hard. And we are human beings. So, God made us as humans. We are not able to be perfect. And perfection's overrated anyway, because perfectionism makes us crazy. And then we do other things that are not for us. It is crazy.
Exactly.
I love everything that you just said, because we are on this journey of life, and things are going to be good and things are going to be bad. And I remember I was at my fittest, like probably about 5 or 6 years ago, in my, my 40s. I was really fit. And then perimenopause, my thyroid blew out. I hurt myself, so I wasn't running marathons anymore, and all of it. And it's just, everybody goes through this. Like, you had the accident, COVID, everybody went through that too. Yes. And not everybody, but those of us who, even in lockdown, were eating everything. But we go through life, and this is the thing that is really important. And you are highlighting this tremendously. Our mindset is what has to pick us back up, because willpower and discipline will only go so far. Our brain has to click in and say, you know what? I'm going to start where I am today. I am okay where I am. I'm alive. I'm breathing. I'm just going to do 1% better today. I'm going to drink a little more water. I'm going to walk a little more. I'm going to eat a vegetable. I'm going to eat a fruit. It doesn't even matter if it's something huge, but what it does is it creates a memory in your brain. I did something good today. And that momentum kicks you into the next day, because we're always going to have something going on. I just told my husband literally yesterday, My mileage is coming back up from running. I'm getting back into it. And I said, I'm feeling really good. And I had this weird urge to knock on wood because I was like, okay, what's the next thing it's coming? And he said, stop that. He's like,
Yes.
you go and you go and you go. And when it happens, you just mentally prepare yourself leading up to that. And I think that's one of the things that I think everyone really needs to think about every day, doing your gratitude list, journaling on it, and making sure that you are looking at what's going well, because even in the worst, darkest day, there's something to be grateful for and moving forward.
I love that. I love that. And it really is. And I think that I've said this before. We don't celebrate our wins enough. We're so programmed for negativity that I will focus on all of the times I've gained weight and forget about the times I lost massive amounts of weight. My highest weight loss was 78 pounds. And I've never gained back, as much as I've gained and flip-flopped. I've never been back to the original. At one point, I was almost 400 pounds, literally. And so it's funny when I'm out and about and I run into people that knew me back then. I love running into them because even if I've gained weight, with the people that know me now, they'll be like, okay, you just gained 10 pounds. But if I see somebody from a few years ago, they're like, oh my God, you look fantastic. I'm like, thank you,
I want you to celebrate that because you are overall doing great and your mindset has changed. And you're helping people by sharing your journey. You're sharing with people that it's possible, because after all the diets, and I've tried them too, I've done some really crazy stuff. And even now, the trending diets that are out there freak me out that people keep buying into this. But we all think that there's a quick fix, and you're doing it the most beautiful way possible. You lose a little bit, we might gain some. You lose a little more, but you have more that you're keeping off by having that healthy lifestyle, and it's going to be sustainable. It's not going to be shooting right back up 70 pounds, right back down. That's what's hard on our heart too, is when we just go a little bit at a time, and everybody wants to look like, and social media is great. You and I both love it because that's our way of sharing with people. But social media has also become a situation where we compare and we think we should get what somebody else got, but we don't know if they're eating enough food. We don't know if they're happy. Skinny does not equal happy.
And I have a friend that tells me that all the time. She had gastro bypass in April. She is very vocal about the fact that she absolutely hates it. She even feels like, as a smaller person now, she doesn't even look as good as when she was a little fuller. And she doesn't have that mojo. Like, she just had this thing about her. And I used to make a joke, right? They would say, well, why are fat women, they always smiling and laughing? Because they're not hungry. That's why. I'm like, skinny women be hungry. That's why they're so mad. That was just a little joke. Okay, I'm sorry. Look, big women sometimes body shame too. We're sorry. Just take it back. Everybody gets offended in this culture. Don't cancel me before I get started. But I say that just to say that you have to have like a sense of humor about these things, because there are plus women who are healthy, who don't have high blood pressure. They're solid as a rock. They're just big frame. And we always associate, and I know some small women who say they are super unhealthy. They don't eat anything right. They have high blood pressure. My mom is a small woman, but she still struggles with high blood pressure because it's hereditary in our family. So it's not just because, again, I told you, I'm like the largest person in my immediate family out of all of my children, my grandchildren, and my aunts and mom. And so I would tease all the time and say, are you sure my daddy is my daddy? Because he's a little itty bitty man too. So she was like, girl, hush. But as they've gotten older, they picked up a little weight. But my mom, she's always, been athletic and just real particular about her weight. So she keeps it down. But again, I just want to be, and I feel like I'm there at a place where I love who I am, and I am very comfortable with the mistakes. And again, if I make them, which we're going to make, I just get right back up, because I'll give you an example too. For me, I have to weigh myself every Sunday. Some people say every day. It's not that serious for me, but every Sunday, because when I get up in the morning on that empty stomach, it tells me what I did that week. And so
Mhm.
I take every, small thing as a win. So the week before last, I lost 13 pounds. I was so excited, and I'm like, woohoo, I'm on my way. So then I'm like, okay, and I give myself realistic goals and enough time to make those goals, because I do monthly goals. Because again, if I feel pressured, I'm gonna give up. And so because I know that's a trigger for me, I have to be realistic in what I do. Well, how about when we went on that little vacation, I gained 5 pounds? Well, normally that
Okay.
would devastate me. So because when I got on the scale, I was like, oh, but then I was like, okay, readjust. This is what we're gonna do this week. So this week, I'm gonna top that 5 that I lost, and I'm gonna add a couple of extra to lose so it can balance out. But again, I wouldn't have done that in the past. I've learned so much about this journey that again, I cut myself some slack. I knew I was on vacation, and then I knew I wasn't eating right. I exercised one time the whole time. So, and then like you, I had chips and salsa. And then what was the other thing that you said you had? Oh, the potato chips. I ended up getting the chips.
Yeah.
But I didn't even enjoy them like I used to. It's not even going to be a part of my regular, because even after I ate, I said, oh, I just don't feel the same. You feel sluggish, and you get like headaches when stuff isn't right.
Mhm.
And I'm going to tell you another thing that I learned, and because I definitely want you to give our audience, I want you to be able to tell them how they can reach out to you and how they can be a part of your group that you have, so that people can get support. But I recently asked somebody, well, what is so wrong with orange juice? Because they keep talking about all these fruit juices and the sugars and the this and that. And I said, well, it says not from concentrate. So wouldn't that just be
Yeah.
better, right? They said, do you know if it says pasteurized? Do you know what pasteurization is? And I'm like, no, they say they cook the fruit. And so when they cook the fruit through pasteurization, it loses the the minerals and the vitamins that are in those fruits. And so to bring it back into a juice, it's just adding sugar and hardly any real fruit. So that's why those fruit cocktails look so weird, because you're like, well, this is real fruit. So juice did that? No, that's cooked fruit. And I didn't know that. So you're not getting a lot of nutrition. That's why
Right.
you always see vitamin C and D added. And we
Yes.
never pay that any
Fortify
attention.
it. Yes. And the
Uh,
interesting thing about fruit is we have when we drink juice, it kind of flies through our system, and all we're really getting, we get a little bit of the nutrients but we mostly get the sugars from it. When you eat an orange, the fiber slows it down. It's also like a sweeper that goes through your colon, your intestines, and kind of helps clean things out. And you do absorb a lot more of the vitamins and minerals. Now, some people really love juicing, and I won't take that away from them. The thing for juicing is just to double check your blood sugar, and if your blood sugar is spiking when you're doing the juicing. And if you're going to have juice it yourself, because then you
yes.
don't have the
Yes.
pasteurization. And
Yes.
real quick, I just wanted to share with you, I love your thoughts on the scale, because when we weigh every day, we put such a pressure on ourselves, and it changes how we eat, and it changes our brain on whether we're good or bad based on that number. And your weight literally every day could go up or down 2 pounds based on waste in your system, water, sodium,
Yes.
anything that is going on. So that weekly is much more beneficial because you're getting an average for the week. So I love
Yes.
that you do that. And then you're not making yourself good or bad based on that number. You're just saying,
Right.
adjusting. I love it. I'm just going to adjust. So I love that. Because, Angela knows this about me. I do not think that we should feel good or bad based on the food we eat or a number on a scale. And it's really important. We're good all the time. It's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. And I love that. That's what I always hear from you. It is okay to give yourself credit for everything, whether it be a loss or a gain. Give yourself credit that you're in the game and that you're conscious about what you're doing. But Kim, before we get out of here, like, I literally want you to be able to tell, our audience, not really what you set out to do, what this was all for, just your own personal heart in this, because you feel it every time we see, a video from you. It always is so encouraging. Tell them about your group. Tell them how they can get in touch with you, because I know people will want to.
I appreciate that. Yeah, my heart is really to help women, especially men. If you're out there one-on-one, we can do that. But we're creatures of taking care of other people. And as women, we deserve also to feel really good about ourselves every day, no matter where we are. And I'm here to do that. I'm your cheerleader. I'm here to teach you how to get healthier, change your habits. But I'm here to remind you of who you really, really are, what you really love. And that's the health that we're going to build from the inside out, along with the food, along with the healthy habits, along with the exercise. We're going to get that mindset and power of belief back. So if anybody is interested in checking in on anything, all my social media is under @KimHynesHealth, HEALTH, @KimHynesHealth. And I have a link in my Instagram right now for a 3-day free stress mini series coming up on Zoom. That'll be in May. And I also have a freebie out there on stress eating, just some very easy tips that have nothing to do with food, but there are 10 free tips out there that are to help you figure out how to reduce that stress throughout the day. So you don't eat so much at night, because we love to sit down at night and just feed our souls. We feed our souls. And my website is really simple, KimHynes.com. And a lot of that information will be out there also. So group is starting again in the summer. I have a summer and a fall group coming up, but one-to-one is always open. So just reach out, and you can, and if you go to any of those channels, you'll also find out how to message me. So we can have a conversation.
I love it. I love it. Well, listen, you know that I'm going to be inviting you back for updates and different things like that, because this is it is a journey, and it is forever. I call it my forever journey, because I will always, have to be mindful. And especially, at the age I am now, I really want to be mindful of my health. So this year was I did a 365-day challenge. And what that is, literally on Thursday evenings, we just do a Zoom where women can just jump in, just, talk about anything, like because mental health is part of that, health in your finances. Because what I have learned is, when you feel good, stuff just starts happening in every other area of your life, So when you talk about, being healthy, that is like the whole thing. That is the foundation for everything else that's going to happen. And I'm definitely I'm getting my energy back. So to be able to wake up and just, because I'm always on 10, but when I feel healthy, I'm on 110. So exactly. I want to stay there. And Kim, like I said, I just thank you for all that you do and for all that you represent, because we need you, and we're thankful because you make us feel so good about wherever we're at in the process. You really do. That is a gift. It is really a gift.
Thank you. And congratulations to you, because your health journey is helping other people, and I love watching it. So, and thank you so much for having me. I could talk about helping people all day. So thank you.
Look, me too. I can too. But listen, thank you guys for tuning in. You've gotten the information. I'm also going to put it out on my social media when I do my social drops, because I do a social drop. This is literally going to air in June 2022. I'm so excited. So glad to have had you on the show. Remember, the Angela Foxworth Show. It's going to be on every major streaming platform out there, and I am excited for you to join. Remember, you can follow me on Instagram @AFoxRadio or The Real A Fox. On social, I am always the Angela Foxworth Show. And of course, go to my website, www.theafoxshow.com. Remember, Life with a Fox is living outside the box. And I am always interviewing with a purpose. You guys have an absolutely wonderful week. Until I see you again. Good night.
Living outside the box. A Fox. Living outside the box with a Fox. Living outside the box. A Fox. Living outside the box with a Fox. Living outside the box. A Fox. Living outside the box with a Fox. Living outside the box. Yeah. Living outside the box.
Yeah. The show is right where you wanna be. Bringing in new topics just for you and me. You see we motivate and educate when we speak. A Fox is quite the anomaly. So follow me as we meet people, reach people, teach people. Black lives matter cause we all equal. Yeah, live your life cause it matters. It's A Fox serving life on a platter.
Living outside the box. Living outside the box with A Fox. Living outside the box.
A Fox.
Living outside the box. A Fox. Living outside the box.
A Fox.
Living outside the box.
A Fox.
Living outside the box.
A Fox.
Living outside the box.